morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Community Connection. I am Robert Day, and we're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects today, Safe Families for Children. And I'll tell you in a little bit why that's close to my heart, why that's important. But first, let's check in with Gen Z's ambassador to the baby boomers, Taylor the Melvinator, who took last week off without permission.
Oh, come on.
I don't know how do you afford all these exotic vacations all the time?
I work while I'm there.
You work while you're there.
I do.
See, that's only a Gen Z concept. How do you
Yeah, that's
go?
a COVID concept.
Oh, well, it's good to have you back,
Good to be back.
young lady.
Thanks.
Appreciate all that you're doing.
Thank you. You too.
One of her chief job description is to be teased weekly on the show, so she does that so well.
It's my favorite one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can you do that on vacation too? Be
Oh,
teased?
absolutely.
All right.
Constantly.
I'll remember that next week.
Great.
Good to have you back.
Thank you.
And speaking of having somebody back for the second week in a row, we have a guest co-host, Nicolette Antonick.
Yeah, it's a joy to be back.
You're always rocking the hats.
Yes, sir.
I love the hat vest combo today.
Trying to bring part of the 80s back, I tell you.
Oh, are you stuck in 1986? Are you?
I was alive in 1986.
Yeah, it was a great decade.
It
Sure
really was. A lot of good music, a lot of not good music. Got to find the right ones.
Yeah. Well, it's good to have you back because this is also one of your favorite topics.
Man, it is.
Safe families for children. Why don't you introduce us to the team that makes all that happen, and then we'll talk about what that is, okay?
Sure thing, it'd be a pleasure. So we have with us this morning our Director of Safe Families, that's Katie Smith.
Good
And
morning.
we also have our Safe Families Program Coach, Raven Johnson.
Good morning.
Morning, ladies.
Very glad to be here.
So, ladies, thank you for joining us today. Before we jump into helping people understand all that is Safe Families, we want to get to know you a little bit. Can you share with us a little bit about your why or your journey that brought you to this space?
I'll be glad to jump in. I actually was a foster parent, and for several
Well, thank you for
years-
that, first of all.
Yes, we were known as the baby family and had 9 over the course of a couple of years. And were blessed to be able to adopt 3 of those children into our home. And so moving forward into taking care of children and things like that, when this opportunity came along and I really learned about what Safe Families means and keeping children out of foster care, that touched my heart because during my time as a foster parent, I saw so many circumstances where families could have really used a program like this and kept them together and kept them rejuvenated to know that they were still a family instead of having to break that bond. And so that's why it's such an important goal for me to work
Seems
for
like a
Safe.
natural fit.
I love it. God placed me in the right place. Definitely.
Amen to that. Raven?
Yeah, so I'll try to start simply. My why is that I believe every person has the right to become who they were created to be. And life throws its curveballs.
Yeah.
And a lot of those curveballs start in the home and it sends us off path. And that's a part of life, but getting back on track is not always a opportunity that many people have. And so I noticed that when I was really young. I'm just now able to really articulate that. But when I was young, I was raised in a single-parent home, my little brother and me, and I saw what it was like for my mom to take care of us. But not only that, outside of my home, because my childhood was okay, but outside of my home, I saw a lot of struggle in my friends and just in the community. And I've always known that child and family advocacy was my thing.
That was your
but
thing,
it's
yeah.
but it's been more of a where and how does that fit. And so I thought, okay, I want to help people. I want to help kids. And so I was particularly interested in juvenile aggression, which is very specific, but I saw a lot of angry kids, and I saw it get them in trouble.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, what can we do about that? I'm a pretty calm kid, you know? And so I did aggression research while I was in college, and that opened up a door for me to do intimate partner violence research right out of college. And a series of yeses led me down my own path of redirection. And I met my husband and joined the military, and so my jobs started changing. And a series of yeses, including moving to Germany, becoming a stay-at-home mom, and really becoming entrenched into the whole child rearing space and seeing those difficulties firsthand. My husband was gone a lot of the time, and so I wasn't a single parent, but I was solo parenting, and so in very extreme conditions, right? And once I overcame that and said a really serious yes to my desire to live and continue, you know, in all of the curveballs, it inspired me to want to coach other moms. And so that's what I started doing while I was over in Germany. And in our preparation to come back to the States, I saw this opportunity to be a program coach. And that really surprised me because you don't see a lot of coach positions for something like this.
Yes.
It's usually you're doing great in your life and you want to do better, or
Yeah.
you know, the health and wellness, which is not my field. And so I applied, and a series of yeses. I didn't think it was going to be possible because I was in Germany and I was not coming back for like a couple of months. But I interviewed with Nicole and with Nicolette, and every step of the way, I just knew that God was calling me here. And so here I am.
Can I just say that that series of yeses was worth the wait?
Yeah.
It has been
For sure.
absolutely a joy to have you both come on together and start to lead the next season of movement for safe families. Raven, I want to ask you to tie a little bit of what you just said to the role you're in now. Help people understand, what does a program coach do, and use that to start explain what makes safe families different, the circles that we put around these families who are in crisis.
So a program coach is, the way I see it, is like having a peace of mind, because again, parenting is difficult and we all know that, but oftentimes we do it alone. And so when in my role as a program coach, I come alongside the parents that are seeking care for their children to determine what kinds of things led them into this situation and how we're going to get them out of this situation so they can be reunited safely with their children. But also, in a kind of parallel way, I advocate for the host family. And that relationship between the host family and the placing parents. And it's really beautiful because I think one of the things that deters families from seeking help is feeling inadequate as parents. So there's this pressure to have it all figured out and to not need help. And when you have a host family willing to help you, but then you also have a coach willing to come alongside and say, this is a great choice and I'm going to support you through it, it's really valuable. But that's not all. We also have family friends. Like there's a whole circle, Nicolette, like you were saying, that wraps around the host family, but also the placing family. And to me, they call it a circle, Safe Families does, but it reminds me of like a village and raising children in a village, because it takes a village, and knocking down a lot of those barriers to having your village, right? Yeah. So we have the program coach or the family coach and a family friend that comes alongside the host parents to provide respite if that should be needed, or to bring meals, you know, just to support them, because placing children into one home doesn't remove the struggle of parenting. So you have the family friend come alongside, but also ministry leads and prayer leaders to, again, just wrap around. It's a wraparound circle of support.
Yes, definitely.
So let's back up from a beautiful description of the right on the ground, how to help this family, to the bigger picture of what are we trying to accomplish overall, Katie? I mean, we would say that Safe Families is a diversion program.
Yes.
Right? It's diverting kids away from the foster care.
Yes.
That's the big picture.
Yes,
Right?
it is.
So, how's it the same and how's it different? You've been in both roles, right?
Well, the main difference when you go into a safe family situation is that the parent keeps all of the guardianship.
Yeah.
It's not turned over to a third party.
So she's voluntarily stepping into this space.
Yes,
It's not being
yes.
forced on her.
Right. And so she still, or he still has the ability to make the decisions for the child, to speak up, and to get to know the host family. And in that time frame and in that grouping, a friendship can be formed, a bond can be formed, so that as this guardianship goes along, this host family and guardianship are becoming friends. And even after the care is taken care of, they're connected, and they're able to reach out to each other and to check on each other.
Yeah.
And so that's there. Whereas in the foster care system, you don't have that opportunity. You might get to know.
As soon as they intervene,
Yes.
there's a conflict,
Yes.
right? Particularly if your child is taking.
Yes. Yes.
So
there's
it
an
removes any
anger-
motivation to work together, isn't it? Right?
It does. It does, because there's anger there and there's fear there that who is this person that has my child and what are they going to do with my child? And all rights are taken away and given to the state.
Yeah.
And the parent is left very questioning everything that goes on with the child. And a lot of times it causes a lot of hurt with the child because they don't understand
Sure.
being taken away. It's a lot easier when a child is placed and the parent has the opportunity to say, this is for a short time and this is somebody who's going to take care of you, and has the opportunity to call that child and to see that child and just keep that bond together.
So, just real quick follow up, and I know that Nicolette wants to ask the next question. So one of the unique things is because it's not in-state care, there's not all these burdens of regulations, et cetera, and minus this conflict in the relationship. So there's a lot more freedom to do what's in the best interest of the child and the
Yes.
family. But is it safe?
It is safe. It
Okay,
is.
what makes it safe? How do we know that this child in this family is safe?
All of our host families go through an extensive training, really to the point of what a foster care family would go
Okay.
through. And they're background checked. And that's where also the coach comes in. She's constantly checking on the family. She's constantly making sure that they have everything they need. And they can call us at any time that they have a need. And if the guardian, the placing parent, has a concern, they can always call us as well.
Yeah.
And so there's a very open communication that we really push when we have a safe family situation.
Well, it's beautiful. And it's part of a number of things that the care team, which you oversee, does. How does it fit in the overall arching goal of Vision 30 and what we're trying to accomplish in the other programs that you oversee?
Sure. I'm going to draw from a phrase that Raven used, that's the idea that someone throws a curveball at you. When you live in a space where you have connections, you have people who are in your corner, a curveball might knock you a little off your kilter, but you're going to be able to persevere. You're going to be able to meet it with resilience. You may even grow in that space because of the connections that you have. Oftentimes, the families who are coming to us, they have a lack of connection. Because of that, they have a lack of stability, and a curveball can truly knock them over instead of just knocking them a little off
Yeah.
course. And so, Katie, one of the things that you described is that we have these families who are willing to step into new relationship,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I think what we see that's true about poverty is that poverty can have a reflection of what's in your bank account, but more often than not, it's a reflection of what's in your life. And having opportunity for new relationship with other parents who aren't going to get everything right, but they're going to help keep your kids safe so you can have that space to work on whatever it was that led you to this struggle. and then having someone who's going to coach you and be in your corner and not only say what led here, but how do we get to the next, right? I think about an article in the Orator that was talking about measurable hope. And our hope is this belief, not only that the future can be better, but you have a part to play in it. Safe Families plays that out because it's not about someone taking your child and saying you must. It's about you recognizing, I need my child to be safe so I can. And that's just a different conversation altogether.
Yeah.
So how many did we serve last year in Safe Families?
Yeah. So Safe Families for Children in the 12-month period served 21 children, 16 adults across 49 hostings that represented 349 nights of care.
Okay.
So it's 349 nights that children were safe while parents were able to work on the struggles they faced so they could reunite. And 100% of our hostings during that year period led to reunification.
Say that again.
Yeah, 100% of our hostings during that 12-month period led to reunification.
Yes, 100%.
Yes.
All right. So another comparison in my mind between foster care and Safe Families is foster care is based on laws and regulations, right? It's about keeping kids safe. I have no objection to those laws, obviously. But Safe Families is really built on the concept that meaningful relationships is what changes people's lives, right? Not checking off boxes of programming things that we have to do in case files and case notes, and all those things are part of it. But the gist of it is people need these meaningful relationships. And the other beautiful thing about Safe Families is it's all volunteer.
Yeah.
The family's voluntarily placing the child. The host family's voluntarily taking them. They're not being paid, so there's not this kind of what's their motivation. It's really beautiful. We got a short video on Safe Families for those who may be hearing this for the first time, and then we'll come back.
Safe Families for Children is something that we basically call an alternative to foster care. It is an opportunity for families who recognize that they're in crisis or they're struggling with a particular complex issue to go, I really need help and I need somewhere for my children to be while I'm working on getting that help. And the way it works is very similar to foster care, with two very big differences. If foster care is what we're talking about, custody is going to transfer. Those parents are no longer going to remain custodians of their children. The state is going to become the custodians. The locality is going to gain custody of a child. With Safe Families for Children, the parents don't lose custody. They don't transfer custody. They remain fully and entirely the legal guardians and parents of their children, and they sign a power of attorney to allow for those children to be cared for in one of our host homes. And the second thing that's very different is everyone who works in our Safe Families for Children program does so as a volunteer to provide the care for these children. None of those people are being paid in the role of caring for that child. The only people who are paid work here at our organization to do the administrative oversight and to make sure that we're doing best practices. Let's say we have a family come to us and the issue they have is not short-term and less than 90 days. We can choose to start them in Safe Families for Children, surround them in the support that they need to move toward a safe home, and then ultimately we can transition it into expanded Safe Families beyond that 90-day placement. At that point, it does become licensed foster care because we're a licensed child placing agency. We have the legal ability to then transition custody of the child to us, and the same support that family has received through our Safe Families for Children program, they now receive in the expanded Safe Families program, and they get it for a longer period of time to work on that more complex issue. Once kids get up into those teenage years, it becomes very difficult for people to say yes, to open their homes to a teenager. We saw a need here and started exploring, and this is where Safe Families Plus came into play. It's just kids who are aged 14 to 21 who can really use that lasting unconditional support of an extra adult in their life. And we can do all the paperwork and make sure everything is done administratively to support that deepening of a relationship that will launch them well into adulthood. What we have found is that there are people who are so willing to open their homes, and they don't all look the same. and they don't come from the same places, and they don't all have the same heart and passion for it. But what they do have is a desire to love families well. We're always in the community talking and telling and sharing the message so that people know Safe Families exist, so that when they come across a family that could benefit, it rings that little bell in their head to go, I think I should tell them. We've shared with all of our Vision 30 network about Safe Families for Children, and they can make very quick referrals to us. We have a simplified referral process where they can click a link, submit it, and we'll do the rest. There are people who work in hospitals as nurses, as practitioners, who are already working with the families who are likely to have the most need, people who have been served by Safe Families, who then talk to their friends and say, this is the difference it made. And certainly people who have served as Safe Family hosts, they're always keeping an eye out for other families who might need help to say, I'm part of this program called Safe Families. Can I tell you about it? Because I think it could benefit you and your children. So that's what it looks like.
Such a beautiful and powerful program, but it's only being offered here in Lynchburg and surrounding areas because it's difficult for an organization to make this happen because, right, it's not a government agency, so government's not funding it. So an agency like us has to step in and say, we'll raise the funds, we'll provide the infrastructure to make this happen. But if money wasn't an issue, and we were guaranteed success, what would we be doing with this program that we're not doing now?
Oh gosh, I love that answer or that
That question.
question. It's ironic it's what you asked because I'm a numbers person. So I pulled up some numbers. We are the only one implementing Safe Families for Children in Virginia for the very reason you just described. There's not money behind this. There's not government backers, but there are phenomenal families who have said yes.
Yes.
And this has been going on for 20 years across the nation, small clusters and groups. It started in Chicago. And they shared recently, they shared recently that in 20 years, they've done 67,000 hostings, but it took 35,000 volunteers.
Oh, wow.
So just if you do quick math in your head, the ratio there is 2 to 1.
Yeah.
For every volunteer, only 2 hostings can happen. I said 49 hostings happened just in our area last year. So in theory, that means we need at least 25 volunteers.
Okay.
And we have that. But could you imagine, Katie, what could you envision?
Oh, the ability to just help every child that needs this and to help every family. Things are as simple as, we had a story just a few weeks ago of a family, a mom that didn't really have a circle, didn't have a lot of families and didn't, or friends and things to come around her. And she was having surgery that she had to have. And she had 3 beautiful children that she needed somewhere for them to go during this time, and we were able to facilitate that. And so she was able to go and have her surgery in peace, knowing that her children were being taken care of, and then be reunited at the end of it. And that's what I see this program doing. That is what we're here for. We are here to walk alongside the people who may not have the families, who may not have the friends to rely on, but that they know that their children will be taken care of. And that is far-reaching. And I know a lot of people tend to say, well, where can I fit in? I'm too, I'm uncomfortable trying to take a child into my home.
Sure.
But as Raven spoke about, the circle that we place around these families, there is a place for everyone. Whether you want to help pray, whether you want to give money, whether you want to deliver meals, and or whether you want to be that host family and take care of those children. We're not looking for one kind of volunteer. We're looking for just all kinds of people.
That's important.
And when that happens, the reach that we have will just be unbelievable.
So money's not the issue.
No,
It's people resources.
it really is.
That's the issue.
When you look at money, honestly, it's sitting around this table. This is it.
Yep.
The investment into Safe Families is a few staff positions so that we can provide that clinical oversight
Yep.
and make sure the children are safe and
Sure.
do the vetting. What we need is people who are willing to say, oh, I can help set goals with someone and I can call them to check in on that. Or another person who says, you know, I don't really care for kids that much, but I do have a heart for families staying together. I know people who know people. Let me do the ministry lead part and pull them together into a group. There's so many spaces people can plug into, and it's just one yes after another, right, Raven?
That's right. And I would say for people who don't know if this space, if they can serve in this space, to, you know, not feel like you have to be fully committed yet, because it is as simple as one yes after another. And perhaps the next yes, if you already feel tucked to this space, is to just call us or send us an email to talk about the things that are on your mind, the concerns that you have, and the passion that's in your heart. Because one thing that I've learned in the 2.5 months that I've been here, okay, one of the things is that we are all so passionate about the work that we do. And even though our passion largely is on keeping children safe and families together, it's manifested differently.
Yes.
And I say all the time that I'm just so blessed and thankful to be in a position where I can not only live out my passion alongside other passionate people, but to help others who are also passionate about this space get plugged in.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I hope you didn't hear me say that we wouldn't take your money to support this
Just to
program.
be clear.
Just to be clear, right? We do have to fund it, but it's really about people.
Yes.
And so what's in the way? Do we got to grow our hearts? Do we need to get does the church need to kind of see that this is a space that they can truly, viably be a part of and make a difference? What's going on?
We are reaching out to churches, but we're also, when Raven and I got together, we really thought big. And we are thinking ways to reach other people and to reach out in the community, to make sure that the Safe Family name is known, that people know we're here. And so, yes, we definitely are working with churches. I'm reaching out to some WMU groups and things like that. We're even thinking about, reaching out to the schools and the PTAs and letting parents know that, that your friend's child, your child's friend may be one of the children we need to help. And how hard would it be for you to take in your child's friend? So there's lots of ways we can reach out and that we're looking at reaching out. I think Vision 30 is a great way to do that for all of the people that are coming together with Vision 30. If they just spread the word, let people know that we're here, let people know what
So
our
we need
needs are.
referrals as much as we need
Yes.
volunteers. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the next step in the last couple minutes we have?
Yeah.
What's the big picture in terms of Safe Families?
What's next?
What's next?
Right. Yeah, so what's next is getting people over their hurdles. One of the most impactful things I've heard in the last 6 months was someone who said you have to understand why people are saying no and help them understand how they can say yes.
There you go.
And I think one of the biggest no's that we keep coming across is people's fear. They are afraid of being under scrutiny. They're afraid of having high expectations that they might not meet. And what I love about what we have built into our culture as a team is the safety that is so strong. It's not just a place where children are safe. It's a place where families are safe to come in as volunteers and to say, I want to have a heart for this, but I don't know how. And to not feel judged in that space and instead to be empowered to grow and develop. Also, we have started this last year really building up the community of the volunteers themselves. We hosted a Safe Families Retreat, our first annual in August. And to see the community that was just cultivated there with people who said, I didn't realize, I didn't see. And so that's our intention into this next year, is to keep growing on both sides, the community of people who are doing the work, and then the community awareness to say, let's keep these children safe. Let's divert them, as you said, into this opportunity. But what we're really doing is we're showing them how to build relationships that can last.
When I think of the potential, what this does, changing the trajectory of a child's life or the trajectory of a family's life, there's just no way to measure it financially in terms of what, taxpayer savings are going to be in the long run, right?
Exactly.
You talked about kind of that juvenile connection, right? There is a connection between foster care and juvenile justice, and then later addictions and just so many things. So money's a part of changing that, but it really, unless we all are willing to step forward and say, I'm willing, show me how I can. And that's what you guys are here for, show them how, right?
Yes.
That is beautiful. Thank you, ladies, for all that you do and being part of this team. Thank you, Nicolette, for your faithful leadership of this team and everything else that the care team's doing. And thank you, folks, for listening today and for praying for us, giving to us, volunteering for us, all the things that it really is going to take all of us doing this together. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next Thursday on Community Connection.
Nobody gets to choose their family. If a person is fortunate enough to be born into a healthy family, then life can be much like floating down a smooth, gentle river in the summertime. But an unhealthy family is like a dangerous river, filled with rocks, debris, and fast-moving water. This river swiftly leads to the steep waterfall of adulthood, tragically forming a new river of dysfunction. Even if you aren't born into an unhealthy river, there are many streams that cause a person to get there. But there is only one way to get out, and that is through a meaningful relationship. Across our region, there are many agencies, churches, and families who are devoted to helping children escape from unhealthy rivers. Some feel their role is to wade in and rescue children. They foster, adopt, or provide safe families. Others stand by the river and support the rescuers by providing what they need. Still, others are upstream and stand in the gap to keep children from ending up in the negative situations. At Patrick Henry Family Services, we see ourselves as having an additional role. We are running up and down the shores of the unhealthy river, screaming, "Can't you see the children in the water? You have to do something." Vision 30 is a 10-year initiative. By 2030, we envision a region where all children are safe in their own family, or with caregivers who are supported by a local faith community. So, where do you stand at the river? Are you upstream, keeping families together and strong by standing in the gap? Are you in the river, directly impacting children? Are you on the shore, providing support for the brave folks who have entered the river? Or are you just passing by without noticing? No matter who you are, come down to the river with us. Let us help you find your place. Not only will lives be changed, but you will never be the same.